Well, you guys had asked for it again, so here it is. Here is another catalog flip through. Now this is a Sears Roebuck Co. catalog from 1952, and this, I believe, is the American version. This is the mid-spring edition, and this should be pretty interesting. I'm not going to be going through every single page. I'm going to be focusing more on furniture and home decor. But of course I will show a little bit of the fashion at the end because it's just super interesting. I did one of these videos back at Christmas time and you guys really loved it, so I've decided to do kind of a series of these. I'll put them all in a playlist as I go along. I have catalogs from 1948 at this point up to, I believe, the early 90s. I don't have every year, but I'm gonna try to get one from every year. Let's have a look here at spring 1952. So one thing I can say for sure is that the 50s and 60s, they loved curtains. There are several pages of curtains in here, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but it's pretty much any fabric, any color, any pattern you desired was available. Even these sort of more modern looking shades were available. Now, as soon as I saw this page with the bedspreads, I immediately went tactile nostalgia. I can still feel how those bedspreads felt. But what did a bedspread cost in 1952? Let's pick randomly this guy here. I am going to look at the full size, or double, I guess they call it. Back then it was $7.60 US. That would be roughly equivalent to $90 today. Another thing they really seem to like in the 50s, 60s, and even into the 70s are slip covers. You can get a slip cover for pretty much anything. Chairs, sofas, sectionals, ottomans, doesn't matter. You need it, there's a cover. Probably an ugly one, but there's a cover for it. So most people like sitting outside. This is the kind of stuff you would sit on in 1952 out on your deck. Some of these look very similar to what was around in the 80s, and some are just super, super weird. What would a set like this cost back then? If you look at this one, for example, the 4-piece ensemble, so you get your settee, 2 chairs, and a table, it was $48.95 in 1952, roughly equivalent to about $580 today. These rattan chairs are still really big. They made a huge comeback in the vintage market about 5-ish years ago and are still going strong. These sling chairs as well. You could buy unpainted lawn chairs and give it your own flair, or just seal it and leave it wood. And again, this particular style is quite common even today. Coming inside the house now, we're looking at Harmony House Solid Maple Living Room set. These are very weird. They look like a cross between 1980s cottage core and a mid-century modern. It is a strange looking piece of furniture. But this set back then would have cost $99.95 or $1,100 roughly today, so not too shabby. Let me know in the comments too if you see something that you grew up with, or your parents or grandparents had, or maybe you still own today. I know a lot of the stuff I see on Marketplace, even still, 70 years later. This I didn't know existed. Chair beds. Obviously we all know what a sleeper sofa is, but I've never heard of a chair bed. So that was a new one for me. In every catalog, I see something that I would totally buy today, and it's kind of ugly, but how comfortable do these chairs look? I would totally buy one of those. One of my favorite things about looking through these old catalogs is finding out what these old pieces were made of, and better yet, how they actually describe it. Veneer is not a new thing. A lot of people do not understand veneer. They don't know what it is. They don't understand why it's used. But back then, you can see the word veneer in almost every single ad, and nobody balked at it like they do today. If you go into a furniture store today, Most of the time, it won't even tell you if something is veneer because there's such a weird misunderstanding about it. There are reasons that people used veneer, and it's everything from trying to save cost to sustainability and trying to get the most out of a log. So I love looking through these old catalogs and seeing everything listed as being veneer because it is not a bad thing. So what did a three-piece bedroom set made of hardwood framing and wood veneers cost? $129.95 for a three-piece set is about $1,500. Now, I often get asked about this blonde look, and this was really big in the 50s and a little bit into the 60s. These pieces are veneers, not solid mahogany, and it's not the easiest finish to reproduce, and they used a really thick glossy varnish over the top. These waterfall pieces are everywhere on Marketplace and in thrift stores, and they don't usually go for a lot of money, but they're pretty unique in the way that they do the fronts of these with different veneers. It's hard to even think about the 50s and 60s without thinking about these old chromed dinettes. I don't really remember what we had in my younger years at my own house, but I know my grandmother had one of those. Something I've noticed that was quite common in the 50s and 60s was furniture that you could paint yourself. It was usually really affordable because they hadn't spent the time and money putting a finish on it, and it gave you the opportunity to make it your own. So right up there with crazy curtains and slipcovers are carpets. Not just full room carpets, but also different sized rugs. Some of these are so familiar to me, I can't really place them, but I mean, I'm in my mid-40s, and while I wasn't around when these first came out, they were still in existence when I was young and crawling around on them. So it's no surprise that some of these are quite familiar. Especially this one here. This one is standing out for some reason to me. All the pictures of the happy housewives. Let's look at appliances for a minute. Let's say, looking here at this range, $211.25 in 1952, $2,500 today. That's not cheap. But man, these things were so cool looking. So the radios are super fun, but what if you're more into vinyl? What would the cost of a portable phonograph have been in 1952? Let's just pick one here. This guy here, $22.45 in 1952, is roughly $266 today. So in addition to the sewing machines, you could also buy fabric by the yard and make your own clothes. Now, I can't say that I see anything here that I would personally wear, but you know, different time and all. And yoga pants were not a thing at that point. I do have to say, I love these tires and wheels. Like, how cool are those? And you think about the cars in the 50s, just super cool all around. So what does a tire cost in 1952? Let's look at this one here, 1845 back then. Roughly $218 today. Now, just to finish up this video, I hope you guys have enjoyed this so far. I'm going to kind of browse through some different sections and, of course, some clothes. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends who might appreciate it. And hopefully I'll be back soon with another one from another year. Thank you for watching.